What's going on, everybody? Good late morning. We've got more right guard stuff to take a look at here. And I'll tell you, given the fact that it's just one position, one specific position on the team, there's actually a pretty decent selection of right guards in free agency this year. Now, earlier today, we did the stars. I would call them the stars of the position. You could even argue superstars, honestly, but the first video was the three guys who were going to get paid theoretically like they're stars. So this is your high-end starters. They're not going to get paid quite as much. I don't think they're going to have the same expectations, but you should be getting very good play out of them. And if you don't, it's going to burn a little bit in your pocket because you had to pay them a significant amount. These guys are looking at more like 9 to 10 million a year. Now, there's a big difference between these players. There are two of them that are in a somewhat similar boat, and then there's one guy who's just completely coming in from a different direction. You'll see what I mean in a second here. But right guards, high-end starters, let's go. First one. This one's very interesting. Mekhi Becton. Mekhi Becton won a Super Bowl just about a week ago with the Philly Eagles. So he's riding high right now, and he really is, because after an early career start that featured some pretty disappointing play and disappointing results and injuries and just nothing really going right for him, he went to Philly, changed position, and played genuinely well, was part of one of the best offensive lines in football, and here he is now, set up for a lot of money, and he hasn't even turned 26 yet. He turns 26 in April. So he's probably going to be getting a big contract before he even turns 26 now. So he's probably feeling great about things right now. Things were going in a very different direction a year ago. So Becton was graded well last year, 75.2. First year as a right guard, played over 900 snaps and 21st out of 135 qualifying guards. He is playing the easier guard position to play, but I mean that's where he's going to be, and that's what we're talking about right now, right? We're talking about right guards. Now, the previous year he was graded very poorly, not even in the top 100, 53.2, or barely in the top 100, excuse me, but he was playing tackle. So, if anything, that just tells you where he should be playing going forward. He's a guard, should remain a guard. You make him play tackle, you're going to get some really, really bad results almost certainly. So what is this guy worth? He's only had one good year, but it was the first year he got to play on the inside, and it was also 2 years removed from the major injury that he had, right? Because he missed all of 2022. So a lot of stuff can go into this equation. Botrax says 4 years, 40.9 million, so that's 10.2 million a year. I mean, it is a gamble because he only had the one good year, and think about what he's got in Philly. You've got Cam Jurgens to your left, you've got Lane Johnson to your right, you've got Jordan Maitaya over on the left side. You've got some pretty great players around you. You've got a great set of offensive line teammates. But I do think we saw enough to at least say that independent of all that, he's playing well. So, talented, no doubt about it. He was the 11th overall pick for a good reason. Somebody whose career got sidetracked by injuries, and now 10 mil a year for 4 years during the prime of his athletic life. Yeah, I might do that. It's not prohibitive, right? 10 million a year for a really good right guard, if that's what you're getting, is fine by me. But you can't be 100% sure you're getting that really good right guard. This is not Trey Smith here. He's got 1 year and he did it in Philly. Okay, so that's Becton. These next two guys are very, very different, but they're going to find themselves in a similar average annual salary place. Got Kevin Zeitler. Kevin Zeitler, I think actually is how you pronounce it. Just about to turn 35, but he's still out there. He's still out there grinding, man. Spent a few years over with the Baltimore Ravens playing right guard, played really well for them, made a Pro Bowl 2 years ago, went to Detroit for $6 million last season, played awesome. He had 16 games, so he only missed one game all season, and he was a good player, man. So at 35 years of age, or at least at 34, he still has it. Now, honestly, if you go by PFF, 2024 was one of his best seasons ever. He ranked top 5 among all guards on over 1,000 snaps. So it's all at right guard, by the way, for this year. 5 sacks is a little bit uncomfortable for a right guard. I would like to see that number a little bit lower, but it's on 18 pressures. So that's like 1 pressure a game. So it seems like he got a little unlucky that a lot of his pressures turned into sacks, right? I don't know if I would really put that on him. Something to keep in mind when you're considering him. Previous year, by the way, when he made the Pro Bowl, he was graded not nearly as well, although still quite good. And it was all at right guard. So that's exactly what he is. That is the role he occupies in this league. And if you get him, that is certainly where you're going to want to play him. So because of age, you're probably looking at a 1-year deal, which is kind of unfortunate if you're trying to backload a contract. It's hard to backload a contract too much when all you have to work with are void years, but you can do it that way. And Spotrac says 1 year, 9.2 million, basically 9.25. It's a nice raise over what he got last year, which makes sense because he was really good for the Lions. Now, that doesn't change the fact that we're dealing with an older player here. The cliff could come at any moment. He could suddenly become very injury prone. There are risks. This is probably something the Seahawks should have done last year when Zeitler was on the market until pretty late in the process, and he ended up signing for $6 million. Now you're going to have more competition, and the price is going to be more. Again, possibly over $9 million. So $9.2 million for a 35-year-old guard, 1-year deal. I mean, I'd probably do it, especially if I could void year out a little bit of that money and maybe get it down to like 1 year $6 million or 1 year $5 million with void years for the remaining money. But it's still dicey. It still doesn't feel amazing. But he just had one of the best years of his career at 34. Maybe he's going to age gracefully. Not everybody can do it like this, but it seems like Kevin Zeitler can do it. So maybe. Not against it. It's not a bad way to take care of the issue in the short term in a very solid way, but leaving your options open for the future. Like maybe Anthony Bradford will put it together by 2026, but in the meantime, you've got a really good player. Okay, one more guy, Zack Martin. Zack Martin in a somewhat similar position to Zeitler. He's going to turn 35 in November, so age is definitely a concern. But this guy has had an incredible career. He's going to the Hall of Fame. He's lived on the All-Pro first team. He's lived on the Pro Bowl roster. The only thing that keeps him from making the All-Pro team pretty much every year, and I like that's not even exaggeration, is injuries. So you can't beat Zack Martin. He might be the best right guard of his era. It is possible. I don't know who else it would be, right? You make the All-Pro team, first team 7 times. You're probably the best player at your position of the era. So Zack Martin doesn't get too much better than him. However, age being what it is, also of note, he missed 7 games last year. He missed 2 games the year before. He does have a little bit of a history of concussions that are probably starting to catch up to him now. And I know from people I watch on YouTube and people I listen to who are Cowboys fans that there were some signs of slippage in 2024 with him. Now, PFF still thought he was pretty good, but this is a far cry from what he used to be. 65.6. That's not something he would be very proud of when you compare it to his previous grades. 48th out of 135 guards, still good, but this is not even what Zeitler's doing, right? Zeitler is still playing at an elite level as recently as 2024, and even though he only played 10 games, It's just not happening the same way. You go to the previous year, by the way, 2023, even then he was still really good, but he wasn't hyper elite this year, according to PFF. Again, I'm not saying they can't get things wrong, but they've given him really high marks before. So it's not like Zack Martin's a player they've never respected. So, I mean, he's been good these last couple of years, but his days of hyper elite play, where he's clearly the best in the league at his position, kind of feel like they're gone. Kind of feel like that's past. And unlike with Zeitler, I do kind of get the sneaking suspicion whoever gives him his contract this offseason is going to end up kind of holding the bag on him, where they're the team that gives him one last payday while he fades into obscurity and eventually the Hall of Fame. But you're not going to get your money's worth. And the money's going to be significant. Spotrac has almost identical to the Zeitler deal, 1 year, 9.1 million. So it's gonna be something. It's gonna hit you in the pocketbook, especially if he doesn't play very well. So if I had to choose between Zeitler and Martin at the same price, I'm definitely taking Zeitler. Martin, I'm kind of a no on this one. I'm not a big fan of this one. I have a bad feeling about those concussions. I have a bad feeling about what he's going to have to offer in 2025. I'm a stay away on this one. I think that the pay is probably about right, but it probably shouldn't be here. It's probably partially because of his reputation as one of the greatest players of his era. All right, so that's it for the high-end starters. That's it for the guys who I think are going to get paid high-end starter money. Not quite star level, but they're getting there. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you feel about this group. See you guys later today. More right guards. Go Hawks.